Yeah, there might be a little bit of jail time involved. Hello. Hello, everybody. This is G. Welcome. Welcome. We're going to take a talk. Yep. We're going to take a talk, not a walk, but a talk. The North Node moves into Pisces, and thereby automatically the South Node moves into Virgo. What does it mean when the South Node is sitting in Virgo? And what does it mean when the North Node is sitting in Pisces? These two will spend roughly 18 months at this location, and it should be drastically different than the last 18 months of our lives, which was the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. For the past year, any video I've ever put out, I don't think there might be maybe a handful, if even, maybe a handful that don't include me mentioning the nodes and where they're at and what they're doing and how they're the backstory, right? Because all the other planets will constantly be on their normal routes, hitting the normal signs they normally do, doing their retrograde, la-di-da-di-da, not even paying attention as to what the nodes are doing in the background. So the nodes and understanding the cycle that they're in, the planets that they're in, those keywords that they're in should make all the difference of realizing there's that underlying energetic setup. Is that what you call it? There's an underlying energetic setup. There's an underlying theme always at play with the nodes. So January 11th, this is it, guys. We're here. Moving out of Aries, I like it. I mean, there was a part of it that I loved, right? Aries is optimistic and youthful and fiery and physical. And, if you're at a time and a place in your life where you kind of need a little get up and go and a little, you need a little optimism, you need a little, something to drive you and a little bit of things to feel passionate about. You kind of need a little fire lit under your ass. Aries is really good for that. Great for starting and initiating. Really good. However, it likes to carry weapons. It can get mad easily. It's quick to anger. It's got no patience. It's slow to understand. It acts before thinking things through. And so that can be harmful in a lot of different ways. And we kind of got to grow up, right? And that's what's hard about Aries because Mars was the ruler. However, this time around, January 11th, 2025, North Node in Pisces. So Neptune and the North Node in constant communication. And it's going to be all Pisces themes. Because many times when we talk about the Neptune effects, it's illusions, it's delusions, it's fantasy, it's sci-fi. It definitely will be conspiracy theories. Where I live is the US, and Pisces is in the US's third house. And so we're big on conspiracy theories here, for sure. We absolutely are. The littlest thing and people run with it. What are some Pisces keywords? Of course, think Neptune as well. We think institutions, healing institutions. So health would be a big one. Mental health, emotional health, right? We understand about health in terms of public leaders, especially public leaders who we deemed to be too old, but then other public leaders who, aside from clear signs of dementia, right? We see that going on. But public leaders and public figures is also Pisces and Neptune. Public figures. So these can be people who are in the spotlight, in the limelight, we would say, Hollywood, right? On the stage, on the screen, they're performers, really strong creative tendencies. But Pisces is also because it's about the creative aspect and that creative element, we go to the other side of our brain. right? The imagination. That's where we go with it. So it is all about developing creativity, things that are non tangible. Sound, for sure. I can't hold sound. Well, I can, I guess, if I'm holding a piece of music, right? And for someone who knows how to read and write music for them, it's like, wow, this is a masterpiece. This music, this song, I'm holding this song in my hand, right? But other than that, because even then, the song isn't being played, but some folks can hear it in their head, and sound in Pisces is big. But yeah, what about people who write manuscripts and books and the movies you watch and the performances, like that's part of the creative process. So this is super creative energy, which could be anything, and which takes you into that creating method. So usually when we're in a creative method, um, our logical and analytical and shit that's supposed to be logical and making sense, it's not part of this. Pisces is not supposed to be doing anything like that. Okay, it is more about sensitivity and feelings and empathy and understanding. So far all those things I listed, you can't hold them in your hand. I can't hold sensitivity in my hand, right? I can reach my hand out to you, if you needed a help up, if you needed a hand up, right? I can reach out and offer that to you. But that's a gesture, and it comes from a place of something that's non-tangible. It's saying, I see someone is in need. So I want to be of service to them in some way. I'm going to help out, right? And so service is connected to Pisces energy, but it's really like a larger format, because we think of service as in like the opposite of Pisces, Virgo, which is where the South Node is going to be also on this day, because that's how it works. Because these nodes are always at the exact same degree in the exact opposing signs, right? So with the South Node in Virgo at 29, this is more about the details, but it's material and tangible. It's earth. I can hold it. I can see it. I can thread a needle through a hole. The details, right? I can serve you. I can help you. I can do something that's of service in a practical, tangible way. I can sew a button on your shirt. Very practical and tangible. I can go into the house and clean for you. I can wash your dishes. I can make supper for you, right? I can it's a very down to earth, domestic type of energy. But it's not limited to like the home, but think domestics. Think of the things within and around the home, whether it's housekeeping, whether it's healthcare, helping somebody with their health, right? Whether it's a well-being check, delivering food to somebody, it's the service industry, right? We think of people who garden and those details, and the people who harvest the food, right? Maybe not so much the gardeners and like Taurus energy, where we're planting and cultivating the earth, but Virgo more of the harvester, right? I'm pulling the fruit from the trees, and I'm getting the product, gathering the inventory, basically gathering the inventory to be sold. Capricorn, you follow? You see how that goes with the earth, the graduation of the earth energy. So much about the logical and the rational and perfection and ideal, and can be super analytical, and usually can be very critical because it wants that perfection. And it comes from a history of very rigid rules, very rigid, where there wasn't room for mistakes, but not even about the mistake part of it. But also, because we kind of think nuns, kind of think about nuns, and think about, um, all the sacrifices and the vows the different orders take. And so there's a little bit of that in there, where it's not, it's more about, I represent the institution. It's more about, uh, a striving of this perfection for the higher ideal, even, right? But in a practical, tangible way. So when we think and mix that in with domestic life, or even the work, the day-to-day routine, like literally at your job, your tasks, your projects, when we mix that whole perfection to the ideal in there, Ooh, that can be hard to live up to and downright unhuman and unobtainable because, if you think about the mind connecting to the imagination and how with the imagination, and all the details and how it must be like this type of thing, right? And the ability for it to even go to a judgmental sort of a thing, because the opposite of the Virgo is the Pisces stuff, an ancient ruler, ancient ruler Jupiter. We are going to also have to include Jupiter as part of the North Node in Pisces and the keywords. So that's where judgment comes in. And foreigners, foreign lands, foreign languages, judicial system, Supreme Court, and the justices. Ooh, right? Like, especially for us in the States, we're just like, oh yeah, shit, I understand this. Like, hell yeah, let the North Node be there because it's time for some shit to make, there needs to be something that makes sense. So, with that said, before we go too far into that, Pisces understanding and forgiveness. Pisces wants peace. Pisces can wave the flag of surrender, right? And the thing is it gets out of the Virgo mindset of finding how shit can be better by seeing how it's not good enough and saying, I can make this better. I can see all these little things. That needs to be fixed and that and that and that and that and that. And it's frustrating for the Virgo energy because the Virgo energy sees logically how when these things just aren't connecting, when they're all helter skelter, in the Virgo's mind, it's absolute chaos. And it's like if these dots were just connected and put in a certain order and organized, um, the shit would just work so smoothly, right? So for the Virgo energy and the judgment, then that's when the judgment comes in because it flips over to there, right? We oscillate between the two energies, Virgo and Pisces. They're polar opposites, but they run along the same line of energy. Okay. So this is why I'm doing this video in this style, the bebopping back and forth between the two, because as humans, that's what we do. That's how we function, depending upon life, what we're doing and what's going on. Okay. With the North Node in Pisces, some of these folks may have worked and have the history of working in the field as nurses and nuns and missionary type of roles, where there were these rigid rules and regulations. Because I work for an institution and there's this higher ideal, there's this higher goal. We are serving and definitely sometimes sacrificing, right? So we have to have, cleanliness is next to godliness. That's where this comes from, the Virgo Pisces thing. Impeccable behavior. We must be neat and clean and orderly in appearance ourselves. And so there's a certain sort of behavior that is represented, right? And so we're so accustomed to it. And it's almost this above reproach type of being of how we're supposed to be. So it can become overly attached to rules and regulations of behavior. Rules and regulations of behavior. Okay. A lot of subconscious energy here. So with this, it's important because the South Node in Virgo talks about where I've been and where I've come from and what's happened in the past. And the node being part of the past, right? It also represents like what we're trying to move away from because like we already did that really well. We already kind of got the certificate. We already kind of graduated from that. So it's not that we have to necessarily completely, throw it out, but we definitely put it on the back burner. We put it in the closet up on the shelf. We don't throw it away, but we put it in the closet up on the shelf somewhere. Okay. So it's a skill that we have, and Virgo's so good with the details and the minutia. So good. I have a couple people I know who are like, they have this strong energy in their second house. What do they do for a living? They clean homes. They're their own business. They're their own boss. They clean homes for a living. And then I have this other friend who not only clean home, but she will go shopping. She'll run errands. She'll take the dogs out. She'll babysit. She does anything and everything you can think of for a house. Where if those owners have the means and they need an extra hand, we've helped pack up people's homes to help them move because I know this not new. I know this person really well. And for a time I helped her out on a couple of her jobs. But we packed up people's homes, like the finer stuff that, the movers come in and they get the big shit, right? Well, we handled the private stuff, the things they didn't want the movers handling. And that's Virgo, the details. Really good at organizing and being orderly while trying to keep the shit clean, taking care of the minutia. Okay, in the home, but this can be your work energy, your projects, your jobs, your tasks, the departments that you work in. Okay, home healthcare aides. If I didn't mention that, I'm sure I did. So, something about the past and a release and a let go, but absolutely something where we're like, okay, we might need to chill a little bit on the way things used to be because now we're over here. We're working on trying to accomplish this, which is Pisces energy, which is Jupiter and Neptune energy. So we're thinking, I need to function and I need to work that other side of my brain, the non analytical side. I need to amp up the imagination, that side of the brain, the side that works with creativity, meditation, sound, and prayer, faith, connecting to something I can't even hold in my hand. Nature and the earth and the planet will also be part of this. All right. So the North Node in the Pisces energy, these are things that are part of our future. This is where we're headed. This is what we're working on. This is what we want to work towards. It doesn't mean it's easy, though. For some folks, a North Node in whatever sign you have it in your birth chart can be a challenge. But if you're listening to this video and you're like, well, sure, the nodes are changing signs, but this video can also hold true for anybody who has a North Node in the 12th house or a North Node in Pisces. Because if you have a North Node in Pisces, well, holy shit, you're having a North Node return, which means you also are having a South Node return because they always move together in pairs, right? So if I back this up, they're always connected. And if you look closely, again, they're at the exact degree and exact minutes. They're connected. They're bound together. These, by the way, the moon's nodes, that's what these are. The north and the south node, that's the moon's north node. That's the moon's south node. Okay? It's not a planet up in the sky. All right? It's not an asteroid. It's a calculated point. It's a calculated point. Okay, of the moon's nodes. All right. And so it's that interconnectedness. We might not be able to see the connection. We might not like have a physical connection because it's Pisces. There is no physical connection, but it's like an ethereal bond with Pisces energy. There's a connection there whether you want it to be there or not. You can't cut it away. You can't get rid of it. You can't be like, "Ah, phooey, get out of here," right? So, some of the negative points of Pisces energy, you heard me mention things about conspiracy theories, but delusional and illusions, right? It's great to have hope. It's great to have goals and dreams and fantasies. Those are wonderful. But we need to always kind of keep in mind that if it's your dream or your fantasy or something you feel strongly about, or in my opinion, then hopefully we are recognizing the difference where when other people are sharing their opinion, right? When opinions being shared, that we can maybe somehow hopefully be able to recognize when we might be possibly be sharing things as fact, even though it's really just my freaking opinion. It doesn't make it the truth. But equally so, somebody else also has an opinion and it's not supposed to match yours, right? You're supposed to be able to share the differences and the variety because Jupiter rules, ancient ruler of Pisces. All about diversity is Jupiter energy, but it's about the unity within diversity. It's about the unity within all the details, the unity within the division, even. And Virgo energy tends to definitely chop, slice, and dice because that's what Virgo does. It can pick out the needle in the haystack. That's what Virgo does. It's really good at looking at the very, very small and seeing those differences and seeing how this just isn't good enough and it needs to be made better. Now, with that said, we absolutely need for lots of things about our healthcare system to improve. Lots of things, right? And so these are the details, these are the minutia with healthcare and talking about that. Pisces is substances and drugs, which makes sense. Substances, drugs, a very addictive sign. Alcohol, specifically the wine. You know, I'm always joking, Jesus and the wine. And so that is something we need to remember because we don't have to literally drink wine or smoke something or take a pill or whatever that, whatever your poison is. We don't have to take it to be under the influence of Pisces energy. Pisces energy just is already always like that, you see? And so for me, because it's already always like that, I say take that belief that you have, those thoughts that you have, and create with it. Make a picture, make music, write a story, do something creative with that energy because that's what the North Node in Pisces wants us to focus our Pisces energy on. How to be creative, how to be more meditative, how to be more one with the planet, how to be less judgmental, and how to see the connection within all beings and things. That's what a higher octave of Pisces wants us to do. What's the lower? Being illusional and delusional and believing in conspiracy theories and creating division and purposely misinforming and spreading disinformation and misinformation, spreading it. So then that means you're a disinformationist at that point. Pisces is purposeful manipulation, putting on an act to harm the negative stuff. We're doing it for entertainment purposes. That's one thing. But if you happen to be a public figure, you have a certain amount of responsibility and duty as a public figure because, you know, well, they're influencers. And I'm not pinpointing fingers at influencers. You're public figures, whether they're on the stage and screen, whether they're, a person of the cloth, whether they are whatever capacity, government, whatever the hell that is, a judge, whatever the hell that is, they have a certain duty and responsibility because with greater responsibility, there is a higher bar, higher quality of character because people who need healthy role models, who need whose brains just don't function real well. So they need to be able to be like, okay, I believe in this person. I believe in them. Like I believe in helping. I believe in doing good. I understand we're not all going to agree on everything. But I don't agree with spreading information to harm another, information that could hurt somebody, purposely hurt somebody for my own gain. So, Pisces energy, my own gain. Think of some of these words. Purposely hurting for my own gain. Lots of folks go to prison with Pisces energy. It's not just the people who break into a jewelry store with a mask on, a costume, Pisces energy, and hold somebody at gunpoint, even though they may not really have a gun in their hand, right? It might be a fake gun, right? Or they might just whatever the hell people do. But they're putting on a performance of some sort for what gain? For what gain? You got people shitting in their pants thinking they're going to die, literally. And then for what? So that you can walk away with, $10,000 or however much cash on hand they're holding in those drawers, right? But it's for your own selfish gain, you see? And so there's lots of ways this happens on a large scale, on a very large scale. All right. There is a strive for perfection. They figure they always have to be perfect, but they can never get their lives to work flawlessly. There's an act of learning humility with a north node in Pisces, learning to be humble, learning humility, learning not being perfect, and recognizing from a larger perspective that everything is unfolding as it should. South node in Virgo, a pattern of incessant anxiety from other realities in their subconscious, from other lifetimes, from soul history, soul memory, a pattern of incessant anxiety within their subconscious. When they don't know what's going on with the situation, their worry habit is triggered. All of a sudden, it's worry override. So the worry is the Virgo stuff, right? Big time worry. So we're trying to get away from that worry stuff because if we activate the other side of the brain, if we activate the Pisces part, it's more about, well, I'm anxious. There's really not anything I can do about it anyhow. So I will focus my mind on something else. I'll create. I'll do something that makes me feel good. Some people knit. Some people paint. Some people listen to music or watch movies because we know Pisces is escapism. So there's a need, instead of worrying, we need to find a healthy outlet, a way to use our mind that's healthy for us, as opposed to grabbing a bottle, drinking this, taking some harmful substances and escaping. We need to be actively involved in doing something where we're focusing on the other side of the brain to activate the imagination. All right. The side of the brain where we can literally create and maybe learn a creative activity, be involved in a creative activity, a new creative activity, something maybe we just always kind of had an inkling, but just never got involved with it. Keep in mind, Pisces is also religion. So we think of different religions and we think of different faiths with Pisces energy. It's all faiths, folks. All right. All faiths. And so for many, with the prayer and meditation and spirituality, this can also get activated. And that's the purpose with a North Node in Pisces, to walk away from the worry Virgo and focusing on the details and how this shit could be better. And it's still not there yet. And detach, but to surrender to, I can't control it. But what I can control is myself and my own mind. And I have to find a place of peace and surrender and solitude. Solitude is also Pisces, a surrender and a solitude. Get creative. Find a way to activate that. Okay. And so we are learning to trust in the larger picture. Learning to trust the larger picture. That's Virgo popping over to Pisces, learning to trust the larger picture, that everything is working toward their greatest good, and that regardless of the twists and turns in their life, a higher power will take care of them and bring them what they need for happiness and fulfillment. Now, with that said, I do want to add here that with the Pisces energy and the North Node in Pisces, remember, it can go overboard. So you always have to consider balance in things. Because when we say, oh, I'm just going to throw my hands up in the air and not be involved because that's Pisces, I'm just going to stick my head in the ground and I'm not going to be involved. And at this time in the world, we don't have that luxury. When we were growing up, I don't know how old you are watching, but there are certain timelines where you were able to get by in life and just keep your head stuck in the sand and was business as usual. But when people are losing their rights left and right, literally up and down, all over the place, That's not a time to keep your head stuck in the sand. So you need to figure out some healthy ways where you can relax, detach, and escape, unwind, right? Some healthy ways. Remember, creativity is number one. But for some of you, you're like, damn, gee, I don't have a creative bone in my body. Well, whether it's listening to music and dancing, acting, playing a role, playing a part, writing a story, do something creative. Like this is kind of what this energy asks for. Okay. North Node in Pisces does speak to prison and jail time, because that's Pisces. Pisces is prison. so so maybe maybe that will be a huge part of the North Node energy. I have the Pisces up on the screen, and you do see how we have Venus there, how we have Saturn there, right? So there's some strong things still in Pisces. And I wanted you to see this because as the North Node moves, not just the North Node, but as it moves, it goes down in numbers 29, 28, 27. So, yes, these two literally are already conjunct. The Neptune and the North Node are conjunct. So, Neptune, again, can be, you know, can be all the Pisces keywords I've already said that I've been talking about this entire time: fantasy, actors, actresses, performances, performers, public figures of any kind, politicians of any kind, right? Whoever has the spotlight, whoever has your ear, anybody who's got, and these would be on a large scale, by the way. This isn't just like, like me, this little YouTuber who's got a couple thousand people who watch her videos. There's not enough people under my belt for me to be in this category. But these can be spiritual people and religious people, right? These can be judges, right? These can be judges as well. So that North Node energy and Neptune connecting, yeah, there might be a little bit of jail time involved. That's a possibility. Okay. So this North Node in Pisces and then the North Node conjunct Neptune might be some serious, um, might be, the bell tolling for some individuals who were using and abusing their public status and purposely manipulating people. So, South Node, Virgo energy, something we're trying to get away from. It's about the past, a past job, even past coworkers, something I used to do. What about health? The digestion, the digestion, health problems, right? A release, possibly. So, for some people, there might be something beneficial here, releasing. I also do need to add, because this, for anybody who's got a four-legged friend in the home, South Node can be a big release and a let go. There are no other planets here when the South Node gets into the Virgo energy. But it won't stay like that because this is going to be in Virgo for 18 months. And I mentioned that as well. I'm sorry, we have Regulus down there, but it's at 0. So it's going to be a while before the South Node gets here. But Virgo is your domestic pets. So it's your jobs, your tasks, your projects, your routines around the home, the routines at your job, something about your health, a health routine changing. But what about your pets and your furry friends? Unfortunately, for some folks, the next 18 months it's not a blanket statement. It doesn't mean across the border, this is happening to all of us. No, some of you might not have, big things. Some of you may have other things that calibrate and balance it all out. But for some of us, we absolutely might be losing in the next 18 months some of our furry friends, some of our furry family members, even. Okay. Learning to stay connected, not to the minutia and the detail and the mind, the other side of the brain that is powerfully analytical, but to the part of the brain that is where source is, or where the higher power is, or where it is where you just go, because you may not have, astrology is for all beliefs. You may not believe in a higher power. Well, then staying connected to the other side of the imaginary, the imagined Imagination, staying connected to that other side of your brain, staying connected to that unseen thing that you know exists, that you know you're connected to. There's a sense of peace there. There's a sense of wholeness there. Meaning, like, no matter what happens to me in this life, I know that when it's all said and done, I'm going to be okay. Because my life right now, in the here and now, I'm in this physical body. But the reality is, this body is not mine. It's really on loan. It's really just a goddamn loaner. And for some of us, we're like, thank God, because not all of us are thrilled with the bodies we got. You know, some people go through life and they don't have a whole lot of physical issues, right? And it's like, oh, and so for them, aging probably becomes really, something really hard to deal with because it's a first time challenge to their body not doing what they want when they want it to do it. But then when if you kind of have been living with that your whole life, you're happy to hand that shit over. You're like, I'm ready to train this damn thing in. So whether you believe on another lifetime or not, either way, there's a part of our being that lives on and that is eternal. And so even if your spirituality is connected to just that alone, and even if it's not, then however you can define Pisces energy for you in your world, in your life. Okay, I die, they're going to bury me, I'm going to go back to the earth. That's where I belong. And maybe that's it for you, right? But staying connected, learning how to stay connected to that, learning to kind of how to be rooted in that even. And so many times for me, not recently, but in the past, I used to do a lot of meditations where, and it wasn't intentional. I mean, I've spent a lot of time meditating, not recently, but I've spent a lot of time, more than I want to share, a lot of time meditating. And so what I would do would be to get that place in my mind where I can calm that mind, where the mind's not functioning. I'm on the other side now. And I literally wait. I literally wait to see what shows up there, to see where am I going, to see, it's almost like, it's almost like, putting a blank screen, a projector screen up on your mind's eye in a way, and then kind of seeing what pops up on that screen. And that might take a few times, of course. And I don't know how many times it took. But either way, going through different steps because everybody's different. Everybody's got a different process. Um, for me, many times, my place of peace and how I could connect would be literally inside the earth, below the dirt level, going down with the tree roots and literally hunkering down like I got a little home under there somewhere. So as I'm telling you this and speaking to you, the whole place, I see it because I've been there. I've spent lots of time there. I can see it in my mind right now. I have been there. That is where I am absolutely 1000% safe. And that tree, that's my grandmother. We've had lots of conversations. And so some folks might be like, okay, so you're telling me you go down to the bottom of the earth and you've spent time talking to the tree roots and you're telling me you call that tree your grandmother and and you're telling me you can give me a description of that place. Yeah, I can give you a description of that place. Um, but to me, that is instantly accessing and going to that location. And I have lots of locations. It doesn't mean that's my only location or that you have to have one location or that it has to look like that. It doesn't. It's literally learning how to access the other side of that brain. So some people pick up an instrument because they access the other side of that brain when they're playing that instrument. And it doesn't have to be I'm reading music. Don't do that. Like that would not be my recommendation. That's when I started playing the flute. I don't read notes. I would just play because I felt I had to do something, and it just felt like the next natural step for me. So there's just different ways to tap into the other side, which is the Pisces energy. And again, nature. That was one of my favorite things to go out a 2-hour hike every day with nature. If I didn't go and take a 2-hour hike with nature, there was a reason. Like, either I specifically was taking the day off because it was like, okay, my knees are hurting me, or, there was something physical. But if there was, or to just give my body a break, balance. Other than that, being in the nature and spending time with the planet, spending time with the earth, spending time with the winged beings, and whether I'm like giving them names and saying, "Hey, do you want to meet Sally and John?" No, I'm not saying that. But when you go do that and you're alone when you go do it, there is sound in the silence, there's information out there, and when you're open, you connect to it. You follow? And I think that's as best as I can explain it for you. If you don't have experience with it, and it doesn't, of course, have to look anything like what I described, but it was just me trying to give you an example of how the North Node is what we're working on. It's what we're working towards. And these were just some examples, some ideas, and some ways, and some Pisces keywords on what we're working to achieve, and what we kind of want to bring more of into our life, so that we can pass, so that we can get the degree in Pisces energy, in North Node in Pisces, right? We kind of want to get a degree in that. We want to get an A plus too, right? I talked about a South Node, maybe release some pets, but some, again, jobs, tasks, day-to-day routines definitely changing. Okay. If you have planets, as the North Node goes down and touches on them, that's how you can figure out the timing. So you need your chart to know that. You don't have your chart, comment below, and we'll work with you from there. Doesn't cost you a thing. Right off the top, though, as we're ending this, when the North and the South nodes are in Pisces and Virgo, they send an automatic square, stress and tension, to the two other mutable signs. Mutable energy means flexible. It means I can change, I can switch up, which I think is beneficial when you have a North node in mutable signs. Like, we just came out of the North node being in Aries, which was fiery, which was, we're going to start shit, right? I can be an instigator. Yeah, a lot of people starting fights. Um, and then letting go of relationships. Well, now it's a let go, possibly of a job, possibly of just a day-to-day routine, something to do with the health, a health routine, possibly pet, domestic energy. And for my mom, I look at this and I think, okay, she's probably going to be releasing her healthcare workers. Like, my mom may no longer be able to live where she's living anymore. Like, she may no longer be able to stay where she's at, because she likely will need uh, 24/7 care, as opposed to just people coming in and working with her. Like, that's a really good possibility here. I haven't looked at her chart for this and that yet, though, but I'm just giving you guys ideas. And mutable energy, Virgo and Pisces, it's flexible when it comes to changes. It's like, okay, let's change. Let's do this. We need to make this change. It's not perfect. It's not my ideal, but I'm willing to do that. And then we'll see how this works. It angles and squares our beliefs, Sagittarius. So it sends the South node will send stress and tension to our beliefs, which means the beliefs. Remember, this is Jupiter. So it's the beliefs about our future. And it is spirituality and religion and our freedoms, right? And the justice system. It challenges that. And it also challenges good old Gemini. Good old Gemini, where we've had Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter is still here. Jupiter's at 12. Jupiter's going to stop retrograding here, just so that you all know. It's not happening right now, but it will stop at that 12. Stops retrograding. And Gemini is social media, communications, the news, information, access to learning, access to information, access to education, libraries, writing. These were the scribes. These were the people who wrote the books. These are the newscasters. These are the newscasters, the broadcast, the news people, the people who would, yeah, I'm bringing you the news type of thing, right? Local community, my neighbors, my siblings, Gemini energy. So the North and the South node throws a mutable square to Gemini and Sagittarius. Just think of all the Pisces keywords. Some things that I didn't mention, what were they? Put them in the comments. If you would like, put where the North Node, where's Pisces energy in your chart, because then you got to weave in that house number, because then that's going to be that house that's also going through that change for you. Not just Pisces energy, but Pisces, like in this chart, this is Pisces in the first house. This would be somebody's appearance, their physical body, possibly their location, how they dress, how they appear to people. They might change. If it's Pisces, these people look like movie stars. They got some sort of a colorful, overly dramatic sort of flair about them. Pisces energy. These can be people of the cloth. These can be people that wear uniforms sometimes. So we think doctors and nurse energy kind of. You know how musicians kind of have, and actors and actresses, they don't have, they have costumes, right? But even when they don't have costumes, especially if you're a musician, you get on stage, you wear what you want, or do you? We think of Lady Gaga. Oh my God, that woman, she definitely has costumes for sure. She goes all out. But not all performers do that, do they? But for them, just putting on what they want to put on is their stage stuff, right? And some people, they almost kind of have that look. They kind of have that edgy, I don't know, that kind of, I don't know what it is. There's some people that you meet and it's like, there's something about them. They kind of look, are you a movie star? Are you someone I should know? Are you someone I want to know? Like, you know, you see those people and you're like, there's something about them. They just have that look. So it would be someone's appearance, and that could be their face, their head, their clothing. Pisces is also feet. So we think feet, if this is in someone's first house, so something there with that, new shoes even, orthotics, but something with people's feet even, Pisces energy. And first house. Pisces is extremely sensitive. So for people who have Pisces in the first house, they might find they have sensitive feet. When we're young, we don't realize it. I have sensitive feet. I never realized it. Now, as I'm older, oh my God, everything is about my damn feet. Do not mess with me. If it's not comfortable, it's not going on me. So I totally get it. I don't have Pisces in the first house. I have Aries in my 12th. You follow? So my feet and my head, both very sensitive, especially right here, the top of my head. I mean, this is sensitive too, but my crown, super, super sensitive. So that's it. It's a wrap. You got questions? Put them in the comments below, and we'll do a part 2. What would you like me to talk about in terms of the nodes in these new signs? And then we'll go from there. All right, guys, you take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.